Good afternoon. Let's start the new topic. So, India-China trade. There is a big news recently that for the first time, the volume of trade between India and China crossed $100 billion. The bilateral trade in the two countries, crossed $100 billion with a trade in Chinese favor. The balance in Chinese favor. That means our import from China is much more than our export to China. Okay, we imported a lot from China, then we exported to China. That is why this is a big challenge. But some situations is compelling us to go for this. Okay, okay, this is the situation. So to start with, India's import from China reached a record of height in 2022, and the trade deficit surged beyond 100 billion. India import accounting for 118 billion. So import is 118.5 billion, up from 97.5 billion. Okay, so it is by 21% hike in a year. 21% surge in Indian import from China. Okay, fine. This is why the big point of discussion. Okay, that is why. So although we're not interested, so we know that importing from China is costing Indian economy. Still, we are importing from China, and it has increased to across the 100 billion mark. Okay, between the two sides. India's export to China, India's export to China fell from 28.1 billion to 17.48 billion. Okay, the trade deficit reached 101.2 billion, up a 45% from 69.4 billion in 2021. Okay, that means आज there is a export dip, import surge, trade deficit increased because the bilateral trade with the two sides. So although the export increase decreased by 45%, but the import during the same period increased by 21%. Fine. So from 97.4 billion dollar a year back, it has gone to it has gone up to 10118.5 billion. And while the export to China has fallen from 28.1 billion to 17.48 billion dollar. Okay, so ultimately resulting in a more than $100 billion trade deficit, which is 45%. Okay, because the previous year it was 69.4 billion deficit. Okay, because 97.5 billion import. Okay, and 28.1 billion export. Okay, 97.5. Okay, this is the import 2021 and 28.1 billion export. In 2022, this has increased to 118.5 billion import whereas only 17.48 billion export. The net result here, the deficit was 69.4. Deficit here is 101.02. So from 69.4 to 101.02. Okay, this is the deficit. Okay, overall trade, India's bilateral trade with China reached a record of 135.98 billion in 2022. Okay, okay. So overall trade, India's bilateral trade with China reached record 135.98 billion in 2022. It is up by 8.4% from the last year. Increased by 8.4% from the last year. Okay. So China and other nations and groupings. Let's see. Asian trade with ASEAN, China's biggest trading partner, increased by 11.2% to 975.34 billion. European Union, EU ranked second among China's trading partner with trade up by up to 2.4% to 847.32 billion. The US trade up to 0.6% to 759.42 billion. That means, so these three picture shows that, so Chinese trade with ASEAN, European Union and USA are on positive trade, increasing trade. They are increasing. They have increased last year. Okay, during last year. Okay. So after this, so we can find. Okay. So what led to this increasing import? Most important point here. Why this increase in import? What led to this surge in import from China, especially in Indian context? So think of the excuse me, Indian context. What led to this increasing in import from China? Okay, the first one important is recovery in demand in India in the post-pandemic period. Post-pandemic, okay. So economic recovery led to increase in demand. demand has increased. Okay. Then increasing import of intermediate goods. Okay. So intermediate goods means so India's solar program, Indian automobiles, Indian telecom company. They are importing intermediate goods. Okay. From China. Okay. The solar panel are being assembled, importing all the elements. Solar panels are only just being assembled in India. Okay. Then coming to electronics, especially automobiles, the semiconductor. Okay. What else? The semiconductor are imported. Okay. Integrated circuit are being imported. Okay. Then import of new capital goods such as medical supply. China still supply huge quantity of API. Okay, that is active pharmaceutical ingredients. India import huge quantity of API from China. Okay, huge quantity of API is imported by India from China. Okay, although it has a program for encouraging production of the API, yet okay, still this goes on. Okay, this is the issue. Fine. Active pharmaceutical ingredients. You must have the idea that how much India is dependent on China for the. In the past couple of years, India's biggest input from China includes active pharmaceutical ingredients, chemicals, electricals, mechanical, machinery, auto components, and medical supplies. These are big imports from China. The most important thing is the active pharmaceutical ingredients. Okay, active pharmaceutical ingredients constitute a big import to India from China because 90% of our API are from China. That is okay. That is the issue because so without that, so our auto industry or our pharmaceutical industry will face a big challenge. Although we are trying to produce the API in our country, but have not been able to fulfill our demand to the fullest extent. So, till we are dependent on the supply of API, okay, from China. Okay, so trade deficit. So, what else? The other things are chemicals, electricals, mechanical, machinery, auto components, medical supplies. All are imported from China. We're importing so much of things from China. So definitely, trade deficit will grow, which is being manifested right now. Trade deficit. Okay, so trade deficit is on a rising speed. Okay, so increasing trade deficit. So what is a trade deficit? A trade deficit occurs when a country's import exceeds export during a given time period. It is also referred to as a negative balance of trade. Trade deficit is a negative balance of trade. Okay. It allows a country to consume more than it produces. In the short run, trade deficit can help nations to avoid shortages of goods and other economic problems. So what is it allow a country to consume more than it produces. In the short term, trade deficit can help nations to avoid shortages of goods and other economic problems. It creates downward pressure on a country's currency under a floating exchange rate system. What is a floating exchange? So there may be fixed exchange rate, there may be a floating exchange rate. In a fixed exchange rate, so the exchange price is fixed at what rate the both the country will trade, and what the item the foreign currency will be exchanged. But in floating interest rate, the price vary as per the then particular time exchange value of the currency in comparison to the international currency. Fine. If it is okay, so it creates downward pressure on a country's currency under floating exchange rate regime, because if the rate is floating and the export is import is more, the pressure will be definitely more. In case of floating one, the price will go up and the pressure on the payment will be more. Domestic currency depreciation also make the country's export less expensive and more competitive in the foreign market. The depreciation is an economic activity when the exchange value of domestic currency fall down in comparison to internationally acceptable currency. That is called depreciation. Okay. Okay. If the value of the domestic currency is reduced, okay, automatically as per the demand and supply of the market in comparison to the international currency, it is called a depreciation. Okay, and depreciation happens automatically as per the demand and supply of a foreign currency. In case of depreciation, as the value of the currency, domestic currency decreases, that led to, okay, so a drastic fall in the exchange value and the price value of the particular product. Okay, this is where lies the challenge, that this put pressure on the farmer. Right, it is on the country. Right, domestic currency depreciation also make the country export less expensive and more competitive. Foreign exchange, because at the value of the currency decreases, that led to what? That led to uh, at the value of the currency, domestic currency decreases, it led to more export, because for the outsiders the item became cheaper. As the item become cheaper for the outsiders, it helps in increasing export. Export is increased because the value of export or the products in the country became cheaper. As the value of the product became cheaper, it become easier to it became it demand get increased in foreign country. Right, demand get increased in foreign country, because so the item became due to depreciation of the currency. For the domestic consumer, the item price remains same, but for export, for the country, for the foreign country, the item became cheaper. That led to a surge in demand. Fine, demand increases. Trade deficit can also occur because a country is highly desirable destination for foreign investment. If the country is, hello, class में अच्छी है, online class का call कर दी, 13 बार. Fine. So this trade deficit can also occur because the country is highly desirable destination of foreign investment. If a country is destination of investment, so then there is a possibility of that trade deficit. The disadvantages: if a country continually runs trade deficit, citizens of other country acquires fund to buy up capital in that country. If a country continuously runs trade deficit, citizens of other countries acquire funds, buy up capital in that country because it becomes cheaper. That can mean making new investment that increases productivity and create job, because more and more people will invest in the country because the currency value is falling. So more and more investor will come, and more investors will come. So they will come with capital, and that will add what? It will add to more production, more employment. Okay, and okay. However, it may also involve merely buying up existing business, natural resources, and other assets. Okay, so no new creation, rather to be the safer, they go on buying natural resources, existing assets. Okay, but somehow new investment comes. Okay, new investment comes. Okay, so that is a creativity. When new investment comes, that itself is a creativity. Okay. If this buying continue, foreign investors will eventually own nearly everything in that country. The country will go to a foreign hand because foreign investors will be able to buy everything available in the country. They will go on purchasing. If they will go on purchasing and everything went to their control, the country will face the problem, because at the end everything will be going to the control of a foreign entity. Okay, which will be a big challenge and threat for the country. Trade deficit are generally much more dangerous with fixed exchange rate. Okay, because if the price goes up, it will create problem. Trade deficit are generally much more dangerous with fixed exchange rate because that to pay the country has to pay more. Under fixed exchange rate regime, devaluation of the currency is impossible. Trade deficit are more likely to continue and unemployment may increase. Okay, and that manifest another issue that is known as the, okay, that is known as, okay, known as the current account deficit, the CAD. Current account deficit is the gap between the export and import of a country. Okay, the gap between the export and import of a country, that is known as trade deficit. Okay, when the country's imports are much more than the export, okay, the country faces a trade deficit. Right? Trade deficit is faced by the country when the country has more, the country import more than it export, and it has to pay a huge sum to the outside world. This is called the current account deficit. So, in case trade deficit also lead to current account deficit, there is a shortfall between the money flowing in on account of export and the money flowing out of the import. Okay, flowing in on export and the money flowing out on import. If we pay more on import and we earn less due to export, so it will lead to an increase in the current account deficit. It measures the gap between the money received into and sent out of the country on the trade of goods and services, also the transfer of money from domestically owned factors of production abroad. Okay, so this is the current account deficit, and current account deficit will it is a big challenge for the country, and the country faces multiple trade on current account because it has to pay from the precious foreign exchange reserve to pay back the deficit, and the country may come under international pressure of being a defaulter if it is unable to pay back in time. Okay, so increasing import of essential items or non-essential items may lead to this current account deficit, and current account deficit itself is not good for the economy. Fine. Different from the balance of trade, it is slightly different from the balance of trade, which measures only the gap in the earning and expenditure on the export and import of goods and services, whereas current account also factors in the payment from domestic capital deployed overseas. Okay, payment from domestic capital deployed overseas is calculated in the current account deficit. For example, rental income from an Indian owning a house in UK would be computed in current account but not in the balance of trade. Okay, because total inflow and total outflow is measured in the current account. Total inflow to the country and total outflow from the country in foreign exchange is CAD. But in case it is trade deficit is only about the trade export import of goods and services. So on the rental part, it will be added. So the example, the rental receipt will be added in the current account deficit, but not in the trade account because this is not anyway no trade involved. Existing exchange rate, consumer spending level, capital inflow, inflation level, and prevailing interest rate for current account deficit in India, crude oil and gold import are the primary reason behind high current account deficit. Implications: current account deficit may be a positive or negative indicator for an economy depending upon why it is running a deficit. It may help a debtor nation in the short term, but it may not only in the long term as investors begin raising concern over adequate return on their investment. Method to deal: it could be reduced by boosting exports and curbing non-essential imports such as gold, mobiles, and electronics. Currently, currency hedging and bringing easier rules for manufacturing entity to raise foreign funds would also help the government, and RBI could also look to review debt investment limits for FPI portfolio foreign portfolio investors among other measures. Okay, in case this deficit increases, so country will be under always financial stress, especially stress on the foreign finance, and the RBI may come in. The government may take remedial measures to save from this situation. And apart from checking the flow, that checking the unnecessary import, the country may impose some other restrictions. Okay, on this, and they may also put restrictions on the investment limit of the foreign portfolio investment because they are the entity who will invest on the capital market, and they will flee the country once they achieve the level. India's growing import from China are both a worry, reflecting continued dependence for a range of key goods, and a positive indicator of India's economy importing more intermediary goods, because intermediate goods are cheaper than final products. If intermediate goods are being imported more, that means they are being assembled to finished products in India, on which India is saving the amount, or India is exporting them back to gain more. Okay, that is where the import of intermediate good is not bad, but import of finished goods to a country like India is always a thing that need to be checked. Okay, but this way, so the major issue and the major topic of this week, the increasing trade volume between India and China, have been delivered with you. So hope that you learn the topic and will be able to write the answer to this particular issue. Thank you.